Hello, welcome to another Tracking Trends Thursday with Kristen Mason Coreas, owner of the Homestead Mason team. The date is not showing. Oh, there it is, December 18th. Today is December 18th. Let's talk about what's happening in real estate. Is next Thursday Christmas? Oh my God, I think it is. That's crazy. So I probably will not be here on Christmas Day. So I don't have a plan yet for that. But today I'm here. Let's talk about what's happening in real estate. Interest rates, 6.21% is what the average was for the past week. And surprising, maybe. If you remember, the Fed did meet a week ago or so, and they did drop their interest rate, and therefore we often would expect to see a drop in mortgage interest rates, but we didn't. This is just a touch, 0.01 lower than it was the week before. It is lower than it was last year at this time by 0.5%, which is the good news. And in terms of for perspective, it is almost as low as it's been in the past year. So that's the good news. A lot of people, I did talk to people actually recently who were like, we're waiting for the interest rates to come down. Well, you might keep on waiting. We're not sure if that's going to happen. Maybe into next year. Whoops, I'm not sure what that was. Apologies about that. Maybe into next year, they might come down into the 5s. We shall see. I don't have that crystal ball, unfortunately. So again, last year at this time, they were at 6.72. Last week, they were at 6.22 for the average. And again, for perspective, this is where we've been for, the past, how far back does this go? December 23rd. I think this is a 2-year look back. Again, just visually to show you that we have been on a slow downward trajectory of interest rates. So again, if we do continue to come down, we're not seeing big jumps. It's just coming down very slowly, very incrementally. In terms of national economic news, this is the same information that we had last week. So there's nothing new here to share. For the Mid-Atlantic region, which includes Virginia, D.C., Maryland, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Delaware, and New Jersey, new contracts did fall under last year. They by 4.6% at a steeper deficit than the prior week. So less buyer activity as we approach the holidays. That is pretty typical. Price growth has significantly slowed. I've been talking about this. I have kind of been seeing this. What the data here says for the last 3 weeks in a row, the increase in list prices has stayed under 2%, signaling that prices may be near their ceiling after years of growth. So that is a projection made by the economists at Bright MLS, and you might not be wrong with that. So prices have been growing, but now they're kind of flattening. So that is the start of possibly a trend, for the last 3 weeks. So we'll see if that continues. Now, typically, what happens in the new year is prices do go up, but again, we'll see year over year. That's why we look at both week over week and year over year. We're always looking at that because that information does tell us different things. Are we following the same trends as we historically see? And are we, doing the same as we were the year before? New listing activity does look like 2024, but buyer activity has slowed as the year comes to a close. Again, that is relatively typical. For the larger DC metro area, we have 1% less showings than last year, 11.3% less than last week. Purchase contracts down 4.2% from last year and basically flat from a week ago. Time to contract longer by 5 days from last year and shorter by 2 days by last week. 44 days, a long time. 653 new listings though, right? That's also not a ton of listings this time of year. 4% more than last year, believe it or not, and 23% less than last week. We're approaching the end of the year. Less and less listings will come on the market. Buyers are still out, though. You can see, right, the purchase contracts were flat from last week. And when we look at the hyperlocal data, you'll see also there, buyers are still out. So median list price is up 7.6% from a year ago. So price still up in our area. That's not really a small number, down from last week to be expected. Active listings, 31.5% higher than last year. that, again, is relatively healthy. We've needed to have a little more inventory, and 4.5% less than last week, to be expected. Our hyper-local market here at Homestead Mason, we like to look at Arlington, Alexandria, Fairfax, and Falls Church closely because that's where we do most of our business. And so this is the week-over-week data that runs up until Tuesday of this week, the most current, most up-to-date information we have for that hyperlocal area. Both listings and contracts were down from the week before and down from the average. That is, again, not to be expected. But look here, contracts are higher than new listings. So buyers are still out there buying, as I mentioned before. So again, the supply is down week over week, but the contracts are down week over week, but just by a touch. And then we have our demand to supply ratio that we've been talking about in the past couple of weeks. So this is the number that has been consistently high these past few weeks, demand to supply. How many contracts were written in the past week compared to how many new listings? So we are consistently seeing more new contracts than more new listings, which will start to eat up some of that inventory. And again, a sign that the buyers are still out there. So if you're a seller who does want to sell, there are buyers out there. Now, basically, I would recommend if you don't have to sell now, wait until there's more buyers out in the next year. But if you need to sell now, if you want to sell now, there are certainly buyers out there. Compared to last year, there are less contracts and a touch more supply than last year in our hyperlocal market. Again, that demand to supply ratio, 129% this past week. Last year, 141%. So consistently at the end of the year, even though listings do come down, buyers are still out. We always sell homes. I just say that. We sell homes every month of the year at Homes by Mason. Days on market, that's what we're looking at here. So what is that number? Oh, I don't have the number here in front of me, but it's above 40, right? So we saw 44 for the region, and it looks like we're about that same number. Little buyers have more breathing room, more elbow room this time of year. And that is your Tracking Trends Thursday for today. Thank you for watching, and give me a like or give me a comment if you do value the information that I bring to you each week. Feedback is nice to have. And if you have, any ideas for how to make things better, would love to hear that as well. So next week I probably won't be here. And then the following week is usually New Year's Eve. So let me figure that out, and I'll let you all know what I'm going to do. But in the meantime, if you want to have some conversations about what's happening in the market and how that impacts you directly in your decisions, reach out anytime. Call me at 571-210-1866. If you don't get me by phone, text to me and email me. If you want, at Kristen@homesteadmason.com. Call or text is probably better. And you can go ahead and get right on my calendar using one of the links wherever you are watching this. And have a great weekend and happy holidays.